Chandra from the NR Hour Sports Show. This is episode 790. Joined by returning guest Ruth the Truth. Everybody knows her. Go follow her. Go follow her on all social media platforms. She does a great job covering all sports, and she's one of the best out there. And I'm happy to have her back on the show. We're going to break down the NBA playoffs. It started yesterday, the playing games, and it's obviously going on today. And also, we're going to break down some NFL moves and NFL season upon us. But first of all, Ruth, how are you doing? Welcome back on the show. And what have you been up to since the last time we spoke?
Thank you. Thank you for having me back on the show. I appreciate you reaching out and always wanting to talk some sports with you, girl, Ruth the Truth. You guys can find me on all social media platforms. You can find me on Twitter at Ruth the Truth with 4 H's at the end, and I will definitely be following you back. But I've been good, just taking some time to kind of reassess the whole employment situation. I'm going back to school to finish my degree and just, starting some new podcasts and getting some show on the road. So I've been busy at work.
Yeah, that's good. It's always good to keep busy. And but first, obviously, it's a good time to be a reporter and to be covering sports because NBA in the playoffs, NHL's in the playoffs, and NFL coming back soon. And good time in sports. And for you, what's it like right now just to be a broadcaster reporter, just to cover sports and seeing half of these sports in the playoffs right now?
So it's a really exciting time right now because the NBA is in their playoffs, and it's really great to be in the Florida, where it kind of everything is going on. We have the Toronto Raptors that are playing here in Tampa. We have the Orlando Magic in Orlando. Unfortunately, they did not make it to the playoffs, but I mean, it's still a great sports area. I mean, Central Florida is all about, having their sports town. The Tampa Bay Bucks obviously won the Super Bowl. We have the Tampa Bay Lightning that are in the playoffs right now. I know they're not playing great at this very moment as we speak, but they're up 2-0 on the Panthers, so I'm hoping that they could be able to get through this first round and make it back to a Stanley Cup. But it's a great time to be involved in sports because obviously with social media and YouTube and all these different platforms, it's so easy for you to get your voice and your face seen out there, and just being able to follow sports and being a part of a community is amazing. The sports community on social media, everybody's always trying to work together and help build each other up, and it's a great community to be a part of, and sports kind of makes the world go around. So it's great to be a part of the team.
And also Dolphins and the Marlins and the Rays on the rise in Florida too. Don't forget about those teams. And Florida sports are all on the rise, so it's good to see. But let's get right into this. What are the NBA play-in games from started yesterday? What are your thoughts on that? And obviously the Lakers almost blew it. But first, just take me back to what are your thoughts on what the NBA is doing this year with the play-in games? Do you like it?
I really thought the play-in tournament was a great spin and a great change for the NBA. I mean, I know that they've been suffering a little bit with their views have kind of been going down these past couple seasons. And some may say it's because they've added more political talk into the game. But obviously, with it being a tough 2020 season, I know a lot of players wanted to use their platforms to kind of have their voices heard with everything that was going on with social injustice. But with this play-in tournament, it's kind of putting a spin on everything. It's allowing teams that may have not had it together in the beginning of the season being able to kind of turn things around and being able to have a chance to come into the playoffs. I mean, I know LeBron James is the face of the NBA right now, and he has been for the past 17, 18 seasons, and he wasn't really a big fan of it. But obviously it's because the Lakers found themselves in a predicament where they had to play well and they had to be healthy to have an opportunity to even get into the playoffs. It wasn't going to be a kind of walk-in situation that they might have seen years prior. I mean, I know that the Lakers didn't make the playoffs the very first year that LeBron came to the Lakers. And then the following year, after Anthony Davis comes and all these additions, they were able to pull through in the 2020 NBA bubble and win a championship. So now with this play-in tournament, I think it adds a little bit more pizzazz on the NBA right now. And it's attracting a lot of attention because it's, like I said before, it's allowing teams that might have had a horrible first half of the season, it's allowing them to still come back and have an opportunity to play for, Western Conference Final, Eastern Conference Final. And it's amazing to see. I mean, right now we have the Indiana Pacers and the Wizards going at it. They're in the first quarter, almost to the end of the first quarter. The score is 27-26. Pacers are up, but I mean, we have Bradley Beal and Russell Westbrook on the same team, and they've been able to kind of fight through these 72 game seasons to, they battled injury. Bradley Beal was dealing with that hamstring injury. Russell Westbrook has been having an outstanding season, and it's crazy how people want to say that Russell doesn't deserve to be in that MVP conversation, but I don't understand how that's possible. I mean, 182 triple doubles and still more to come. I mean, he's been able to take, records and just completely blow them out the water. And he's playing for a Wizards team that hasn't been in the playoffs for who knows how long. It's been so long. So it's amazing to have this play-in tournament to allow Russell Westbrook and Bradley Beal be able to come back when they had like a tough, first half of the season, because this is the first season that they've been playing together, and there's been a lot of changes in that organization. So I'm happy about the play-in tournament. I wasn't happy about the outcome of the Lakers and Golden State Warriors game. It is not a secret that Ruth the Truth is not a huge fan of LeBron James. I haven't, it's been, I want to say, I think it was 2009, if I'm not mistaken. It was either 2009 or 2010 when LeBron James was with the Cleveland Cavaliers as a young stud, and he hit that game-winning shot against my Orlando Magic. And I think it was game 3 or something like that. That was kind of when the hate of LeBron kind of started creeping in on me, because I'm just like, there's no stopping this man. And obviously, with everybody being a huge fan of LeBron, I'm kind of one of those people that, if everybody's doing something, I want to go the opposite, So it's been a challenge to be a non-LeBron fan, because it's incredible what this man has done in the past 18 seasons in the NBA.
Yeah. So obviously, the Warriors, they have another chance to live, and but I want to get to one sneaky team I think that could,
after losing to the Lakers yesterday. I'm sorry, you cut off for a second, so I just wanted to jump in there so we can keep the podcast flowing. But it was a huge disappointment the way that the Golden State Warriors went down last night, because it seemed from the very beginning that they had a game plan. I mean, Stephen Kerr is the Golden State, the head coach for the Golden State Warriors. He has been in those playoff scenarios time in and time out. He's been in those championship games. So I wasn't surprised to see that they put up such a good fight against the Lakers last night. It was a little disappointing that there was, the technical called on Draymond Green at the very end, or they said it was a flagrant foul, and that LeBron kind of got, and then he was able to make that shot, with not even 2 seconds left on the shot clock. So it was kind of disappointing how the Golden State Warriors went down last night, but they're going to be moving. They're not out yet, which is great. Everybody was trying to say like, oh, the Warriors are done. No, they're not done yet. They're going to be facing the Memphis Grizzlies to still have an opportunity to get in that number 8 seed for the playoffs. So don't count Stephen Curry out yet, because he's been having a phenomenal year, and it's incredible to watch this player just get better and better throughout the seasons. I mean, he's 33 years old and still being able to hold that MVP conversation, and just, that man could shoot 3-pointers like in his sleep. It's incredible.
Yeah. But obviously tonight's game should be exciting, but I want to get to my sneaky team this year in the playoffs, if they can get through, is the Memphis Grizzlies. I think they play tough. I love Ja Morant. I love their coaching staff. I love the way they play. And for you, what sneaky teams do you like in this year's playoffs?
So before the season started, and I'm probably going to have to find this YouTube video, I think it was on Beauty and the Cleats podcast, where we made our predictions of what teams we thought were going to come out of the woodworks. Now, when Chris Paul got signed to the Phoenix Suns, I automatically knew that the Phoenix Suns were going to have an opportunity to make it into the playoffs. Now, I know it's been, if I'm not mistaken, 2007 was the last time the Phoenix Suns were in the playoffs, back in Steve Nash days. So that was definitely my pick from the very beginning of the season, that was going to be able to make a playoff run. And it's going to be a tough first round for them. They're going to be facing, LeBron James, Anthony Davis, and the Lakers in the very first round. But that was definitely my team that I knew was going to be able to pull through, make some magic happen. Devin Booker and Chris Paul definitely have taken that team onto their wings, and it's been a great season for the Phoenix Suns. And I'm really proud, and I believe that they've won 52 games throughout the regular season. So that was definitely my sneaky pick from the very beginning, and it pulled out.
So, speaking of can you hear me?
Yeah, you're back now.
All right. So, speaking of the Phoenix Suns, do you think they can upset the Lakers in the first round?
Do I think it's possible? With a healthy LeBron and a healthy Anthony Davis, I don't know if they have enough big men to be able to stop and defend somebody like Anthony Davis. So I'm thinking, this is going to be the Phoenix Suns. Like I said before, this is going to be their first time in a playoff situation in over a decade. So with the unexperience of the coaching staff, with the young roster that they have for the Phoenix Suns, I think it's going to be a tough game. I think it's probably going to go to at least game 6. But I have the Los Angeles Lakers winning that series just because the inexperience of the team, the coaching staff, I'm just not sure if they're ready to be in the playoffs. Because, everybody knows the playoffs is completely different from the regular season. It's a whole different monster. So I know with the experience of LeBron James, how many playoffs has he been to? Probably 13 or 14 playoffs.
Mm-hmm.
So, I think the inexperience is really going to haunt them for the Phoenix Suns. But, man, wouldn't that be a story? Wouldn't that be a headline to read that the Phoenix Suns were able to put somebody down like LeBron James?
Yeah, because I feel like the Phoenix Suns are a much better team. They have a lot of depth on their bench. I love Monte Williams as a head coach. Yeah, can you hear me?
You're back.
Yeah. All right. But now this is a 2-part question. I got to ask you about the Brooklyn Nets, and obviously we expect them to go far and possibly win the championship. But do you see any teams that can potentially upset the Nets in the playoffs? And the next part to this question: do you potentially see a Knicks-Nets Eastern Conference Finals this year?
Man, oh man, wouldn't that be insane if the Brooklyn Nets? And I don't know. I don't know if I can imagine that happening, just because like I said, when it comes to inexperience in the playoffs, that's a whole different monster. I don't know if the New York Knicks really has what it takes to make it to an Eastern Conference final. Now, we all know with the Brooklyn Nets and that trio of a squad that they have with Kevin Durant, who's been a 2-time NBA champion. They have James Harden, who has never won a championship, but has always been close to making it to conference finals. I don't know if the Knicks have enough to be able to defeat the 3-headed horse like the Brooklyn Nets. I think with Kevin Durant's experience, with Kyrie Irving's experience, and as much as he's in the tabloids for negative things that are off the field, I think Kyrie Irving is one of the most exceptional basketball players that we have seen in decades. The way that this man can handle the ball, the way that he makes his passes, the way that he makes teams play defense, I think is going to be a struggle for the New York Knicks. So I think it would be crazy to see them in the Eastern Conference Finals. But if it were to come down to those two teams, I would say the Brooklyn Nets will definitely take the win.
Yeah, I don't know if you heard my first part, but do you see any teams potentially beating the Nets before the Eastern Conference Finals?
So I know that they faced the Boston Celtics in the first round. And with the Celtics missing out, they don't have Jaylen Brown right now. Jason Tatum has definitely been putting that team on his shoulders, scoring 50 points against the Wizards the other night. That was exceptional. It would be great, but I just feel like I don't know if I could see them defeating the Brooklyn Nets in the very first round. If that were to happen, I know that would definitely be turning heads, but the Celtics have been having a very up and down season, and that's why they found themselves in the play-in tournament in the beginning. So I don't know if they have enough defensively to be able to stop the 3-headed horse like the Brooklyn Nets. I don't know if that's possible, but if there was any team on the East that I could say that could have an opportunity to beat somebody like the Brooklyn Nets, it would definitely be the Miami Heat.
Hmm.
or the 76ers. Those would be my two teams from the East that could really put up a fight against the Brooklyn Nets. But I mean, this team was definitely put together to win a championship. I mean, when you bring all these champions and you put them on one team, and then you have a champion in himself as a head coach and Steve Nash, I think that their time is right now. And I think that they're probably the best team to come out of the East to face a team like LeBron James and the Lakers if they were to come out the West.
Hmm. And obviously, this is one of my favorite teams in the Western Conference to watch all the time. Is the Trailblazers, and no one puts the respect on them. And I feel like, do you think this is a pressure year for the Dame Dollar?
It's Dame time.
Do you think it's time? Do you think this is a pressure year for them this year? Because I feel like every year they make the playoffs. Sometimes they disappoint. But do you think this is a year maybe we can see them take a leap and maybe go far?
I think it's possible. I think the Blazers are healthy right now. I don't know if Zach Collins is back from injury just yet, but I mean they have Nurkic there with them, and I mean he's been exceptional throughout the whole season. So I think the Portland Trailblazers, if they could really play some defense and kind of guard that perimeter, I think they would have a chance to go to a Western Conference Finals. But I don't know if they have a championship team just yet. I mean, Dame Dollar, I mean, he deserves all the respect in the world. And Damian Lillard, he's an exceptional player to watch, and he's definitely been in the MVP conversation in my book. But I don't know if the Blazers have enough to be able to make it to the Western Conference Finals or even make it to an NBA championship. I think the Denver Nuggets in the first round is really going to be a tough pill to swallow for them. I mean, the Denver Nuggets have won 47 games and have been on a winning streak since Jamal Murray went down. Like, one of their best players, their all-star player, MVP conversation went down, I don't know, 3-4 weeks ago, and they had like a 5-game winning streak, and with the addition of Aaron Gordon from the Orlando Magic, they've really been taking it to teams and really been kind of blowing them out of the water. So I think the Denver Nuggets is going to be probably the thorn in the Blazers side, and I don't know if they can make it through the first round.
Yeah, it's gonna be interesting to see what happens there. But here's another series I'm really looking forward to: the Nuggets the Clippers and the Mavericks. Luka Doncic versus Kawhi Leonard, and I feel like this is a pressure year for the Clippers. Kawhi Leonard is entering his free agency this year, and I wouldn't be surprised if he leaves this year to go to another team if they don't go far in the playoffs. And I think the Mavericks could potentially win the series if everything goes well. Luka Doncic is playing well. I love their team. I'm close with a couple of assistant coaches on that team, and even on the Wizards, I'm close with a couple with the assistant coaches on both teams. But the Mavericks, what are your thoughts on this one, Mavericks Clippers? And do you think the Clippers they have a chip on their shoulder with Kawhi free agency looming?
Absolutely. I think they have a chip on their shoulder just from all the talk from last season, how everybody kind of, it was a laughing situation. Like, how would you go from being up 3 shut it down on you? And I don't know if you really remember the playoffs last year, but the Dallas Mavericks really gave the Clippers a run for their money. I mean, everybody wanted to say that, Paul George choked in the playoffs, that Kawhi Leonard wasn't able to do enough for that team, that because he's not that leader to kind of make everybody play better. And that's probably one of their points that they need to work on is if Kawhi Leonard's going to be a leader, if he's going to be the dog for that team, he needs to find a way to have camaraderie with his teammates around him to just kind of make everybody's game better. I wasn't super excited with the Rondo trade when they traded Lou Williams to Atlanta for Rondo. But I mean, I know that they do it on purpose. And I'm actually a good friend of Tyronn Lue, and he was able to tell me that they made that move specifically for the playoffs. Rondo is a playoff champion. I mean, he won championships with the Boston Celtics. He was with the Los Angeles Lakers last year when they won, and they needed a point guard because he didn't want Kawhi to have to play that point guard position, because that's not his strong point. They needed a playoff point guard that had the experience to be able to kind of run the floor and set up the rest of the team for success. So that's why they made that move for Rondo. I wasn't too happy about it at first because I was a huge Lou Williams fan. He kind of was, my sixth man of the year the past couple seasons. He's always been an outstanding player. But I don't know if you remember the series from the 2020 bubble with the Los Angeles Clippers and the Dallas Mavericks, but the Mavericks could have won that series. I don't know if you remember, but Kristaps Porzingis got hurt and couldn't help his team. Kristaps Porzingis is looking healthier than ever right now, and they were able to maintain him throughout the regular season to have him excel in the playoffs. And Luka Doncic and Kristaps Porzingis, that is one of the most lethal duos I feel like in all of the NBA right now, because I mean, Kristaps Porzingis, I've met him in person. This guy is like a tree, like he's huge, and he's able to shoot the three. He's able to handle the ball. He's not afraid to take it to the rim. The only thing is that really messed him up last season was him getting hurt, him not being able to perform at his best abilities on the court. So I really think this is going to be a super tough series for the Los Angeles Clippers, but they have all the tools in the shed to make it happen.
Yeah, like Drake said, 6 man like Lou will. So.
Yeah.
And also, speaking of Tyronn Lue, maybe he should hire you to be part of the Clippers staff.
Right. He's actually told me in the past that, once I got my degree and once I got experience under my belt, that whatever team that he's head coaching for, he would see if they needed any help within the media to try to get me an entry level position. So, but the only thing is I'm not a huge fan of the West Coast. I mean, I love Portland. I love Washington, but I have been to LA and I wasn't the biggest fan of the Los Angeles area. So I don't know if I mean, for a job, definitely the experience would always, be to my benefit, but I've been in Florida for basically my whole life. So I don't know if I can make a move all the way to the West Coast, because I'm a mama's girl. Like I need to talk to my mom all the time. I need to see my family. I have really young nieces and nephews that I want to be a part of. So who knows, if I get a job with the Clippers, I might just say goodbye to Florida.
Yeah, so before we move on to the NFL, I want to get your finals predictions. Who do you have in the NBA finals and who do you have winning?
Oh, you froze for a second. You're back.
Yeah, so who do you have winning the NBA finals? Who do you have in the finals?
All right. So for the NBA finals for the 2021 season, I want to see, this is what I want. This is not what's probably going to happen, but this is what I want. And I'm going to tell you what I want. I want to see the Miami Heat and the Clippers face off in the NBA finals. I don't think it's going to happen, but if I had it my way, that's the way it would be. I want to see, I want to see Jimmy Buckets get a championship. I really do, or at least get an Eastern Conference championship, because I know that he got it last year and they were able to face the Lakers in the finals last year, but they weren't healthy. They weren't healthy. I feel like that was the biggest part of them losing in 5 games to the Los Angeles Lakers last year. So if I had a prediction, it would be the Miami Heat, because I feel like Jimmy Buckets has chip on his shoulder. And I would love to see the Los Angeles Clippers as well. But I think if I'm being more realistic, I would want to say Brooklyn has no excuse.
Yeah.
And I would want to say the LA Clippers have no excuses. I think they're going to be the new team in LA. I don't want to see LeBron win back-to-back championships right now. So that would be my 2 teams.
Yeah, for me, in the beginning of the year, I had the Nets and the Lakers, but I switched it. So now I have the Nets and the Utah Jazz in the finals. I really like the Jazz team. They played
No, Donovan Mitchell is so exceptional. Like the way that man plays basketball, it looks effortless. It really does. And Rudy Gobert, Defensive Player of the Year, like that, like he gets like 7 blocks a game. This guy is amazing. His wingspan is over 7 feet long. Like he's so big and he's so effective down low. And I know that it's very intimidating to go up against a team that not only has a point guard that can do whatever he wants, but also has a center that is going to block whatever shots and be able to be at the rim just to kind of tap it in whenever he needs to. So the Utah Jazz have definitely been an amazing team to watch. I mean, they won 52 games this season. I thought, Donovan Mitchell getting hurt throughout the season kind of hurt some of their chances in those games. But the Utah Jazz are definitely one of those teams that people got to keep an eye on. I mean, they're the number 1 seed.
Yeah. So you ready for some NFL talk real quick, Ruth?
Yo, let's talk some football, because it's been a while. I've been talking a lot of NBA lately, and I'm missing that pigskin just a little bit. I'm missing the football.
Let's talk about our Cowboys first. How about All right, so I know you're a big Cowboy fan like me, and what are your thoughts on our offseason so far? Obviously, we went heavy on defense during the draft. I love it, and even if,
Didn't we need to though? That was our number one point. Like, obviously, if you're ranked lowest, like defensively in the NFL, if I'm not mistaken, they were ranked 31st in defense throughout the whole season, allowing the most points, not being able to stop the run game whatsoever. It was just such an urgent need for us to take advantage of some defensive players in the NFL draft. And I'm really happy about our pickups. We got a new linebacker, we got a cornerback, we got a D-line, we got an edge rusher, we're good. We're set. I'm really excited for what's to come for this season. And when it comes to predictions for the NFC, I really think it's going to be the Dallas Cowboys and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers in the NFC Championship game.
let's go.
Especially with Aaron Rodgers possibly leaving the Green Bay Packers, I really don't see a team that's really going to kind of knock them out.
Yeah, so we're going to talk about Rodgers too, but first I want to ask you about Dan Quinn. What do you think he'll bring to our defense? Obviously, Mike Nolan was horrible, but Dan Quinn is already. You know what? You know what this reminds me of? I was watching some show, and Emmanuel Acho, if you know him, analyst.
Yes, I love him.
He broke it down really well because he compared Michael Parsons to KJ Wright, and he compared Nashawn Wright to Richard Sherman. He compared some of these draft picks to some of these Seahawks players. Do you think Dan Quinn can bring in the Seahawks type of defense to Dallas?
Absolutely. I think Dan Quinn is definitely a defensive mastermind. We saw what he was able to do with that Seattle Seahawks team. When he first came to Atlanta, Atlanta was ranked one of the top defenses when he first started in Atlanta. So I think he has all the pieces to the puzzle right now. I mean, we have a lot of players for the Dallas Cowboys that we saw kind of go in a downward spiral last season. And I know that the Dallas Cowboys have made some cuts that were kind of questionable, especially on the defensive side of the ball. But I think Dan Quinn definitely has the weapons in front of him to really make something happen. And I know that we got to shut down the run game. The run game is probably one of the most important things that he needs to focus on, is being able to stop the run. Because, I mean, if you could stop the run, you could stop these, these easy first downs. And that's what we need to do, is stop letting teams get easy first downs.
Hey, and also I want to ask you about this one. The receiver we got in the draft is from Stanford. His name is Sami Foko, I think. This guy, I've been hearing that this guy is a stud. I compared him to Will Fuller a little bit, the way he plays. And what do you think of the guy we got in the draft with the receiver?
I mean, I haven't done too much research on the receiver, but I mean, I know that we already had a pretty badass receiving core as it was. I mean, we have Amari Cooper, we have the stud from last year, the rookie that really kind of took over for our offensive weapons. And with Dak Prescott being back, I mean, I really have no worries. I think offensively, we're going to be doing what we always do, putting 30 plus points on the board. But the defense is where we need to focus on, because we can put up as many points as we like, but if we can't stop teams, we can't have a winning, successful season. And we're having 17 games this season. Like, it's actually happening. We have 17 games. So we got to stay healthy. We got to stay completely on point. Mike McCarthy needs to have a blowout season to save his job, because I know a lot of people were saying like, oh, it's Mike McCarthy. You guys should fire Mike McCarthy. Why did Jerry Jones hire McCarthy after him leaving Green Bay the way he did? I really believe in Mike McCarthy. He's a championship Super Bowl winning coach, and he has all the pieces to the puzzle. Now with Dak Prescott returning to the Dallas Cowboys lineup, I mean, we've signed him for the next 4 years. He's a $40 million quarterback a season. Like, he's going to be successful, and Mike McCarthy has all the tools in the shed to make it happen.
So now let's get to the big news with Aaron Rodgers. This thing is going crazy and crazier. So, what are your thoughts on this? And I've been hearing that Aaron Rodgers, there's like a couple of teams on his list of the 40. Obviously, no, cross out the 49ers. They got Trey Lance, but I think the Denver should be on top of his list, I think. And I think Miami Dolphins should be up there. What are your thoughts on this?
So when I first heard about Aaron Rodgers, allegedly wanting to leave the Green Bay Packers, my initial thought was, it's from front office. it's the front office. It's not the team. It's not the teammates. I don't even think it's the head coach. I think it's the front office, the GM, the way that they kind of insulted him last year when they decided to trade up in the first round to get a player like Jordan Love, like another quarterback. Really? And are you really thinking that, Aaron Rodgers doesn't have the ability to come back? I mean, we saw what he did this season, MVP caliber quarterback. I mean, you brought this guy in to replace Brett Favre, and you try to run it back again to replace Aaron Rodgers with Jordan Love, and that kind of blew up in your face, and you wasted a first round draft pick when you could have got a weapon for Aaron Rodgers to play with. He needed a new shiny toy. He needed more supporting cast. So I really think it's a front office situation going on with Aaron Rodgers and the Green Bay Packers. And it's really sad to see because, I mean, he's exceptional. He was the MVP of the NFL in the 2021 season last year. And it's just, how do you not keep this guy happy? And, it's kind of a little bit like Deshaun Watson. I was like, if you're going to pay this guy so much money and all you got to do is keep him happy, how can you not figure things out? I mean, the front office isn't just one person. It's a whole collaboration of people. So it's like you got to find ways to keep your top paid players happy. And I think Aaron Rodgers is kind of looking at Tom Brady like, oh, damn. So Tom wasn't happy with what was going on in New England. So he went to a different team and won a championship. So am I tired of just having one Super Bowl ring and what I think is 4 NFC conference championships appearances and not having success? Maybe I could kind of spread my wings and go to another team and kind of, win a championship before I'm getting to that age where I have to retire. Because if I'm not mistaken, Aaron Rodgers is only 37 years old. And as you can see, Tom Brady has proved to the league that you could do whatever you put your mind to. And as long as you take care of your body and you allow your body to recover, you could play until you're 40. What, Tom Brady's 43 right now?
I think 43, yeah.
43 years old, winning Super Bowls. Like, it's insane what this guy has been able to do. I had the opportunity to go to the Super Bowl this year, and it was the best night of my life. I was trying to hold down, or I was trying not to take too many tequila shots because I wanted to remember every aspect of that night. And it was so much fun. And being able to see a young quarterback like Patrick Mahomes struggle with his offensive line, it really kind of put the stamp on when they say defense wins championships. Okay. As long as your defense, Cowboys, I hope you're listening. As long as your defense can make stops and your offense can continue to put points on the board, anything can be successful. So really sad with what's going on with the situation with Aaron Rodgers. But like one of my colleagues has said before, if you don't hear it from Aaron Rodgers' mouth, then it would continue to just be allegedly. So nobody really knows what's happening. But I mean, with all these headlines of people saying that he said this, that he told teammates that he's not coming back, like it's just a lot to break down, but we're really just going to have to wait and see. I know the Denver Broncos were willing to, I think they put Drew Luck on the board with, no, I think it was Teddy Bridgewater that he was up for trade, and then 3 first-round draft picks.
Actually, Martin put it up on his Instagram, so I don't know. I got to check. But
yeah, I know that they were going to give up a lot for someone like Aaron Rodgers, but I don't know. Does Rodgers really want to go to a new franchise to kind of start from square one? I mean, would you really go to a Denver Broncos team that, if I'm not mistaken, only won 2 games last season? Or did they win games at all? I don't even remember. But at one point, they didn't even have a quarterback in the game because of COVID protocol. So definitely a lot of mess to undo with that situation. But I know Aaron Rodgers is going to make the best decision for himself and for his career. Because at the end of the day, a franchise is going to be there for decades. You only have a certain window, a certain time in your life where you could play professional football. Not everybody can be Tom Brady that plays, into his mid 40s. Like, not everybody can do that. Sometimes Father Time just kind of takes over and really, cripples players so they cannot play a professional game. I mean, you're talking about a position that you have a target on your back from beginning to end of the game. Like, you are what these defensive line are drooling over to get their hands on you. So it's like you don't have the rest of your life to be a professional quarterback in the NFL. So I hope Aaron Rodgers makes the right decision. I don't want to see him go to the Broncos. And when Martin had made a comment about him going to the Philadelphia Eagles, and with us being Cowboys fans, I said that would give me nightmares until football season started. I do not want to see Aaron Rodgers go to any other NFC team. I want him go to the AFC. Go over there and play against Patrick Mahomes and Josh Allen and those teams over there. Just leave our NFC alone. We already got the GOAT. We already have such a great entity at that quarterback position with the NFC. So I would not want to see him go to any other team. I want him to stay with the Green Bay Packers. If you're not going to stay with the Green Bay Packers, go to the AFC.
Yeah, for me, I do think he ends up in Denver. But if I would say another team, I'm gonna say the Miami Dolphins. I think the Dolphins fits perfectly for him. They're up and coming. They got Jalen.
But you don't feel like they're sold on Tua? I kind of feel like Miami is doing whatever it takes to kind of prove to the world that Tua Tagovailoa is going to be their franchise quarterback. So I think it's going to be really tough for them to kind of bite the bullet and give somebody up like Tua. I mean, if it's for Aaron Rodgers, by all means, do what you got to do. But I don't know if they're really going to be digging, if Brian Flores is really going to be okay with digging into his pocket and giving up a lot, because it's going to take a lot to get somebody like Aaron Rodgers. Do you really want to affect your future drafts by giving up your first round for 3 years in a row to get somebody like Aaron Rodgers? Of course, he might be worth it because everybody's always focused on the now. They want to win a Super Bowl now. They're not really looking far into the future. It's kind of like, we got to shoot our shot. But I don't know. I want to see Tua kind of prove the world wrong and come out with Miami and be their QB1 and just be successful.
So this is another two-part question here. So for you, out of all the rookie quarterbacks, regarding discounting Fields right now, because that's the next part. But the first part, the top 5 quarterbacks that got drafted in the first round, who do you think will have a better future? And also, the next part is how many games do you think it will take Andy Dalton to screw up so Justin Fields can take over?
All right, to answer that question first,
yeah.
I really, really, really think that Justin Fields is going to be able to beat out Andy Dalton during the offseason. I really think when it comes to week 1 in the NFL, the Chicago Bears are going to play Justin Fields as their QB1. I mean, Andy Dalton, I'm sorry, my friend. I served you at the Boathouse 6 years ago. It was great to meet you. You and your wife left me an amazing tip, but I do not believe that you are QB1 material at this point in your career. I mean, I know that Cincinnati Bengals didn't really have a lot of weapons and there was this excuse, that excuse, but I mean, 9 seasons with a team and not being able to be successful in the playoffs. I mean, you had all the time in the world. So I really think Justin Fields is going to be QB1 when it comes to week 1 of the NFL. I think we might even be able to see him play in the preseason. And if they, decide to play Andy Dalton and Dalton starts making mistakes and kind of fumbles the ball the way he did for the Dallas Cowboys, I think Fields is going to take the field. And it's going to be game over for Andy. And I think he's going to be a great role model for Justin Fields because, I mean, he is a class act person. I mean, he's very professional the way he carries himself. You never hear any any off-field drama when it comes to Andy Dalton. I think he's a great role model for Justin Fields, but I do not think that Andy Dalton is going to be starting week 1 for the Chicago Bears because, I mean, Matt Nagy and Ryan Pace are hanging on to a very thin string right now as the head coach and GM for the Chicago Bears. So if they don't have a successful season, this is going to be it for them. Like, if they want to continue to keep their jobs, they're going to have to put everything out there to be successful. So I think Justin Fields will be QB1 when it comes to week 1 of the NFL. And when it comes to who I think is going to be the most successful out of the top 5 quarterback picks in the NFL draft, I think Trey Lance is going to have some serious success with the 49ers. I mean, we just saw the 49ers in the Super Bowl, 2 years ago? And Jimmy Garoppolo wasn't really enough to pull through against Patrick Mahomes in that defense. I don't think he was enough, but Trey Lance, to me, I think is going to be that quarterback that's kind of going to blow everyone out of the water. I really think that he's going to have more of a successful season than somebody like Trevor Lawrence. Yeah, I said it, Trevor Lawrence.
Interesting. That's interesting. That's a hot take from Ruth right there.
Mm-hmm.
That's interesting.
Yeah, and I loved the interview that Trey Lance did on First Take. I think it was like a day before the NFL draft, or might have been the day of. Just his professionalism, the way he carries himself, the way he talks about his aspirations and what he wants to do in the NFL. I really think that he's a class act kid. And then when you see the way that he performs on the field, I mean, I know that we didn't have a lot of, film to watch Trey Lance, but I think he's an exceptional player. And what he was able to do in the combine and what he was able to prove himself physically, what he can do, I think he has all the attributes that a quarterback is going to want. He has speed, the agility, the football IQ, the way that he's able to make these fast, quick decisions, the way that he's able to get the ball out of his hands quick, the way that he's able to avoid the sack. Like, I think that's going to be what he needs to be successful with the 49ers. And I think he's going to be probably the best quarterback out of that NFL draft. If you ask me, I think he's going to be the number one quarterback. I think we're going to see him play for the next 15 years, and he might win a couple Super Bowls.
Interesting. I compared him to Jeff Garcia a little bit. His structure, size, and he's wearing the same jersey number as Jeff Garcia, number 5. So,
oh, that's interesting.
Yeah, so I compared him to that, and I had Jeff Garcia on the show last year, and I reached out to him.
Yes, you did. I watched that one.
Yeah,
Congratulations, by the way.
Thank you.
Didn't you say you were episode 790?
You're the 790th, Ruth.
Yo, look at that, my friend. Almost 800 episodes. Good for you. I'm proud of you. I'm proud of the work that you keep putting in. I know that everybody loves your show and everybody's always sharing your stuff. So I'm really proud of you and what you have ahead of you. And thank you again for allowing me to come back on and talk some sports with you.
Anytime. But before we wrap this up, though, for you, what are you most looking forward to once you find your next opportunity? And like I said, you're one of the best out there. And whoever's looking for someone to join the networks, please reach out to Ruth because she is the best. So what are you most looking forward to?
I'm really looking forward to these new podcasts that I'll be starting up. I'm going to be doing the Beauty and the Cleats 2.0 coming up in the next couple weeks. And then the Tom Gronkowski show is going to be back with me and Coach Jay. But I have something else that's cooking up, and it's not going to be all around sports. It's going to be talking about relationships, life, what people go through, political drama that's going on, things like that. I'm starting a podcast on that. And that's really what I'm really most excited about, because I want people to know me for more than just my sports side. Yes, I'm obsessed with sports. Yes, I have a basketball hanging around my neck. It's always been a part of my life, but I feel like the older I get, the more I have to talk about when it comes to things that people can relate to. And I want to reach out to a bigger demographic of people that aren't just in the sports industry, but just women around the world that just want to, talk about what's going on in the world. So I'm excited to be kicking off that podcast in the next couple of weeks. It's going to be called The Ugly Truth.
That's amazing. I can't wait for that. And all right, before I let you go, I just want to get back to the Nets real quick. Outside of the big three, what other player needs to have a big postseason in order for them to complete their mission?
Okay, so Deandre Jordan has been one of my favorite big men. That he actually started. Well, the when I started watching him play was when he was still with the Clippers, and he's been one of my favorite players to watch. So I think that it's going to be super important for him to be able to guard that post and to have a phenomenal game and get rebounds. Getting offensive rebounds, I think, is right now is like the most key part to being successful in the playoffs, because not only do you got to make stops, but when you get stopped or when somebody, misses a shot, you got to be able to, retain that ball and, keep your offense going. So he's definitely one of my favorite players. And out of the big three, I want Deandre Jordan to have an exceptional game throughout the playoffs because he deserves it. He deserves it.
Yeah, for me, it's Blake Griffin. I think
Blake.
Yeah, that's a big pickup. That was a great signing for them, and I think he's shown it. So I think he needs to have a big playoffs this year too. But
yeah, and I really need Blake to stay healthy, because that's always been one of the biggest problems when it comes to to Blake because he's an exceptional player. Everybody knows it. He has the skill level that has been able to have so much success, in and out of games. But if he can't stay healthy, he can't stay on the field. I mean, if he can't stay, on the court, then what is he really good for? I know that it was a great signing and everybody, had a lot to say about, him coming to the Nets and, they're trying to build a power squad. But it's like before he came to the Nets, everybody kind of shooed him off like he was done, that he was no longer an all-star. So it's great to see him, being the opportunity to be with the Brooklyn Nets, a team that really can make it far and it really has a chance to make it to an NBA final. And Jeff Green, the power forward as well, like he's been one of my favorite players to watch, and I think he's going to have success with the Brooklyn Nets as well. And everybody just has to play out of their minds because everybody's kind of preying on the Brooklyn Nets downfall. I mean, everybody's kind of expecting them to kind of choke. So I know everybody's got to come with their A game, with every game that goes by with the playoffs.
Yeah, Uncle Jeff. Speaking of Uncle Jeff, he joined one of my lives one day before. So.
Who, really?
Yeah, I had one of his friends on the show, and he joined in a little bit.
That's awesome.
Tune in, but there it is. That wraps up episode 790 with the one and only Ruth the Truth. Go follow her on all social media formats. She's the best, and what a good time to be a sports fan with the NBA playoffs just started and NHL playoffs, football coming back soon, baseball mid-season already, but good time to be in the sports industry. And like I said, keep up the great work. You're such an inspiration. We would like to have you back on a third time eventually so you can meet the full team. And like I said, we have an opening for you here if you want to join too. So.
Absolutely. And right now, the Washington Wizards are up against the Indiana Pacers during the halftime. It is 52-66 Wizards. So I'm hoping that Russell Westbrook can pull this one off because I want to see him be in the playoffs. I want him to, I want to see him get out of this play-in tournament and actually have an opportunity to win a championship.
Wow, the Wizards are fighting. That's amazing. But thank you again. Keep up the great work, and
thank you for having me. It's always a good time to talk to you, and us Cowboys